Thank you so much. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good noon, good night, good desk. Welcome to The Long Shot.
It was like a remix.
It is a podcast. I am one of your hosts. My name is Sean Conroy. With me today on the show, the other host, Amber Kenny, is here.
Hello. How are you?
We are recording strangely at a different time than we usually do for a variety of reasons, circumstances, and other things that have entered in. So let's get into, well, I want to say this. I had a meeting today.
Hello.
Hello, how are you? And it was great. It was a great meeting, but it was a brunch meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, I think I had the worst brunch experience I've had in quite a while.
What a good meeting.
I can't tell if it was my fault or not. It may have been.
How could it possibly be your fault?
Well, let me explain to you. Yes, let me explain to you what happened. The people I was meeting with are people that I know reasonably well. Mm-hmm. And one of them is someone who on a regular basis, when we go out to eat, finds it necessary to have endless conversations with the server about recommendations and what they think is good and whether they think this is good or that is good or this is better, that is better, blah, 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 blah. And I have no patience for that. I have no, it's like, I'm looking at the menu, like the server has no vested interest in what I like or what I want.
They have a vested interest in you ordering the most expensive thing they can, and also it's a stranger. Like their taste might not in any way align with your taste.
That's exactly correct. I have things I like. They are not always the same things as everybody. Like if I went into a restaurant and I was like, I'm having brunch, what would you recommend?
And they were like, a banana mayo.
I was going to say banana flavored mayo, but yes. The mayo with artificial banana flavoring. Okay. Well, we have different ideas of what's good and what's not good.
And also just by itself, like this is tough.
Yes, sir. I recommend just the condiments, just the most bizarre condiments you might ever have. That's my personal taste, but you might like something different. So anyway, so the three of us are sitting there. My friend launches into their endless discussion with the waitron.
Where did you go, or do you prefer not to say?
I don't want to say, because this is the first time in a long time that I was very tempted, or it might be the first time, I'm saying in a long time, it might be the first time ever that I'm tempted
to Yelp.
Yes.
Don't do it.
To go write a Yelp, a withering Yelp review.
I cannot wait to hear what happened at this brunch.
So, it turns out that this waitron has very strong opinions about some things on the menu. That this is made very well. I mean, there was a lot of discussion of pancakes and how to make pancakes and how it's tough to make waffles. So they don't make waffles because they're too hard. And sometimes it takes 3 or 4 tries to make waffles, and they make their pancakes with cake batter instead of flour. And it's and it just endless. Like, what do you want? What do you want? But this was the one person that would entertain this discussion.
Right.
Endlessly.
It was like the perfect, or
the immovable object meets the unstoppable force, but the opposite of that, you know, the positive and the negative, the magnet meeting the magnetometer, or the AR-15 meeting whatever it was.
The sticky part of the Velcro and
2 sides of the same zipper. Mm-hmm. So they're going back and forth about this food stuff. And I'm kind of side mocking to the other person. Mm-hmm.
Probably saying, getting some great laughs.
Yes, of course. Always. Never don't.
Hot room.
Thank you. So that conversation is going on and on and on. Then the the waitron goes to the next person.
And starts it all over again?
Well, not exactly, but that person, I think, seeing the success and the opinionation of the waitron, it's so annoying. I'm just going to say waiter from now on. But seeing the opinionation of the waiter was like, well, I'm actually going to ask a couple of questions, like how good is this particular chicken sandwich? Now, again, it leaves aside the idea that maybe this waiter doesn't like chicken sandwiches. So saying how good is this thing doesn't have any objectivity to their opinion.
We don't have a set point. There's nothing to compare.
It's not like they go, I know what you like, Gary or Diane, and I want you to tell me where this falls on your Snodgrass scale. I call it the Snodgrass scale because it's Gary and Diane Snodgrass. So they have a scale of what they like, But anyway, so they have like not the same length of conversation, but more conversation than
you would have had.
Than anybody would have. Like you would ordinarily just go, I want this.
Right.
But this was more back and forth. Not as much as the first one, but way more than
we're whittling down to you.
So I'm the only one left.
And you're like, I'll have toast.
And I have a concern. No, I well, no, you're pretty close to exactly what happened.
Go away.
Because
I want to talk to my friend.
This is what happened. I already had a concern because I had ordered a coffee, as you might expect, because I am a huge fan.
You're a huge fan. It's brunch. It's a classic beverage at that meal.
I said, can I have cream with my coffee? I poured the cream into the coffee. And as I sat there, numerous congealed bits of cream floated to the top of the coffee. So that's a problem.
Yeah, not great.
And, honestly, my first instinct was, do I just gut it out or am I that asshole who sends the coffee back? And I was like, no, I don't want this. This is not good. This is not cool.
And I'm paying for it.
Yeah. So I have that concern in the back of my mind, but I'm also ready to order. And I'm trying, and I guess I must have failed. I mean, I was talking before about how I never don't get laughs, Freudian slip, never don't get laughs.
But you were bombing with this waitress.
Well, I don't know that I was, but I said, let me make it clear to you. I have absolutely no interest in your opinion on any of the things I'm going to order.
Okay.
And they were like, what? And I said, well, no, these guys just go on and on about stuff. And like, I'm sure you have great taste, but I'm going to order what I'm going to order and whatever.
And yeah, I get it, but I can also see
that it could have gone in the wrong direction.
Like taking that as an insult.
And I think that might
and you're like, I meant it as like, I'm saving you time.
Well, but here's why I think it should have gone in the right direction.
Well, of course, it was your joke.
No, not even that. Because I said, I would like just the eggs over easy. And the person went, really? And we all got a huge laugh out of that. Like, that was hilarious because
everyone else got like the most complicated Himalayan sea salt batter from cake batter.
Yes, but also because they were being so opinionated. Like, really? That's what, I had just said, I'm not interested in your opinion.
Also,
and they were like,
people order eggs at brunch. Like, it feels like a very common order. It's
really? And so we all, what a hoot we had about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, we're all on the same page.
Okay.
I'm fucking around, whatever. Then I go, and I don't mean to be that person, but this is not good for me. And I would rather have a new cup of coffee with whatever. Great. So, and again, This could go. I still am not absolutely certain.
You're like, I might be the favorite at the table.
Right? No. I mean, even now, I'm not certain that this person was like, "Fuck you, I'm going to fuck up your entire meal," because this could have all been coincidental. It could have been.
Oh, I see. Well, I haven't gotten to like the
right. So there's
crime,
so there's more
know.
to it. Right. So they ultimately take the coffee away and the cream and come back and go, I'm going to be honest with you. That was the last of the creamer. So I started a new, so that's why it was like that. And I started a new batch of it, however they said it. Like I got a new thing out and opened it. And
brand new, and it should be bingo bongo.
Bingo bongo.
Also a brunch spot like coffee creamer that should be
everywhere. Yeah. So it's a little pitcher, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have the coffee there. I take the pitcher, I pour some in, and it just goes.
Ew.
And it's just this thick chunk in the middle of the coffee.
Was there a refrigeration problem? Worse.
I'm like, what the fuck? What is this?
I'd be like, I'll have a Diet Coke. Like, this is so gross.
It came close to that. Because now I'm like, what is going on? So, but it's like I said, it's worse because then one of the people I'm with takes the pitcher and goes, I think this is yogurt. And the other one sniffs it and they're like, it is. It's fucking yogurt. So I'm like, this is crazy. Like this person just told me that they brought me brand new cream.
And they got you yogurt.
And it's literally yogurt.
That's interesting. It's notable. It's different.
Right. So, yeah, this is becoming clearer and clearer in my mind that this person was like, fuck you. I'm going to fuck up your entire meal. So I'm like, what the fuck? So then somebody else comes over, like not the waiter, but a bus person, and I said, I'm so sorry, but and the bus person is like, ugh, no, that's no good, and takes it away. And I said, you probably want to take this too, and whatever. And then the waiter comes back, and I'm on the verge of, because I was going to say, like, I'll have an Arnold Palmer. I'll have an iced tea. I'll have something that doesn't involve dairy products of any kind.
Because now I'm scared.
Yes. Too late. New coffee with, he goes, this is just whole milk. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened, but this is whole milk. So whatever.
We'll take it. I feel, right?
So I pour it in. It looks fine. Everything's fine. I'm like, great. Awesome. Meal goes on. Meal goes on and on. Meeting goes on. We meet on things. We have points.
Are you eating?
I eat the eggs. I got a little bit of toast. I had the bacon.
What kind of toast?
Sourdough. I'm a fan of sourdough.
That's the right answer. It's the only right answer.
Right. So, yes. I'm glad we're on the same page on that.
Listening to other people order breakfast
and going, like, no, wrong.
Say sourdough. And then when they do, I'm like, yeah, it's just good. It's a good toast.
Now, let me ask you this. Would the wheat, what kind of wheat, would the wheat have more grain to it? Or would you say the sourdough has more?
Well, that's the problem. I like a whole wheat, but it could be like a sweet whole wheat. It could be like a grainy whole wheat. It could be a nutty. Like there's a lot of variables. With sourdough, I pretty much know I'm getting sourdough.
Right. So I have all that. 2 slices of cantaloupe melon, which was delicious. Just the right amount of ripeness.
Interesting.
Which reminds me of a time I was out to lunch last week where I was considering getting the fruit with the breakfast.
Cheese? Oh.
No. Like same kind of breakfast, like bacon and eggs, whatever.
Instead of potatoes, like
right. Instead of potatoes, getting the fruit, and the waiter was like, it's like airport fruit.
That's nice of them to say. To be honest.
I said, what does that mean? Does it mean it's all apples and there's nothing to it? And they were like, no, there's other stuff in there. I mean, it's lots of different kinds of fruit. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a chance on airport fruit. and it was great. It was fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And then I was, it was a whole thing of like, would you say it's more like, John Wayne Airport or JFK or,
Burbank?
Yeah. So brunch goes on and on and on. I'm drinking my coffee and I get like 3/4 of the way down the cup and there's something in the coffee. There's something. I'm like, is that a coffee ground? Nope. It's a fucking fly in the bottom of the coffee cup.
What?
Which was in there the whole time.
Ugh.
And I was so pissed. Like, I just feel like there's no way that that's a coincidence, There is a way, obviously. That's the nature of coincidences.
Right. The yogurt is a tough one. That's probably the hardest.
Don't understand it. Yeah.
Yeah, because like it's a completely different container.
Also, like, how was that? It's like, I don't know how that was supposed to play out. If that was supposed to be a fuck with kind of thing, like It just goes, and then it's just sitting there in a congealed ball in the middle of the coffee. And are you going to get away with that? I don't think so.
I have a question. Was how everyone else you ate with, no coffee issues?
Nobody got coffee. Everybody got Arnold Palmer's and weird other things, So anyway, and then of course, I get so irritated that I can't focus on what we're talking about. And then the check comes and I'm like, I don't want to be the asshole who doesn't tip. Like, I feel like that's the perfect situation where you go, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm not going to leave a good tip. And not only did I leave a decent tip, but I tipped more than the person who split the check with me. It just, the whole thing. This is why I want to write to Yelp and say, what the fuck? And I like this place. I've been there.
Dear Yelp.
We got another letter from this guy. I don't know what he thinks goes on this website. Yeah. Sir, we can help with technical matters, but
it's like a self-service situation.
Look, Danny, just call the restaurant. We are Yelp, so just call the restaurant and tell them to do a better job next time.
I can't hear from this guy one more time. Stop putting yogurt in people's coffee.
But anyway, it was very frustrating. Like, it was just a day of like, really, that also is going to be a thing? And whatever, a fly. I'm not the person who goes, oh my God, I'm going to get sick to my stomach because there was a fly in there, but it's gross. It's like, it's not going to kill anybody.
And at the bottom, I guess what I mean is, like, famously dead things float.
Yeah, so this fly had to have had concrete shoes on it. So maybe that's what happened. Maybe the fly was executed while the coffee was being served. Style. Yeah. Buzz, Frankie, time to take a swim with the sugar.
He blew the yogurt deal or whatever.
Right. No, that's exactly what I thought of. Is like, there has to be a specific intent for it to end up at the bottom of the cup.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing, how many times did we do that vaudeville bit on the road of what is this fly doing in my soup? The backstroke. Yeah. Or, the other version. I guess that's not a fly related version, but I was going to say, taste the soup, taste the soup, taste the soup, taste the soup. Why do you want me to taste the soup? Just taste the soup. Why? Why do you want me to taste the soup? Just taste the soup. Oh, you don't have a spoon. I'll go get you a spoon. Like, that's the other version of that. I mean, vaudeville was a long time ago, so I might be misremembering that. But.
I guess okay. So the joke is the person doesn't have a spoon.
The waiter didn't bring silverware, and so the guy's like, "Please taste my soup." And the waiter's like, "I don't see why I should taste your soup."
That's a very passive aggressive way of saying,
no, just taste the soup. No, I don't. And then there was the meta version of that, which was taste the soup. No, sir, I would rather not. yes, please taste the soup. Please taste the soup. Taste the soup. And finally, the waiter just picks up the soup and goes, tastes fine to me.
It's miso.
Yes. It was a
sushi restaurant.
Sushi restaurant. Yeah.
Well, when you were talking about getting the opinions of the waiter in a restaurant, it made me think of the first time I had ramen in a ramen restaurant. And now, like, that's I love ramen. I was going to say one of my favorite foods, but
there's a lot of them.
Yeah. It's easier to say the ones I don't like. I like food, but I love ramen, especially, if you're at all feeling under weather or it's cold outside. It's just like this filling, hearty soup with noodles. What's not to like? But and my favorite ramen place, it's also very close. So there might be better ones, but it's convenient.
There's different factors to incorporate into what makes something your favorite.
Right. But the first time I went to my favorite restaurant, I went with Jeff, and we were both very like, we've never had ramen. Like, you could tell it was a while ago. And we were like, what do you recommend? And this waiter, I don't know what she was thinking, or if she was fucking with us, or if she truly was saying what she likes the most. But she, like, there's like classic ramen, which is like, just tell us to get that, but it was like this, like, underground, like room temperature noodles that you dip into like a cold fish sauce. It was disgusting. And so I left there being like, I don't think I like ramen. Like, what's all the hubbub about? Because they recommended like the worst possible thing. Anyway. The thing was, that was all leading up to the part where you go into the basement with them and they punch you in the stomach. And she was like, right. You're missing the best part. Like, there was a whole ritual that you missed afterwards. But I don't know. It's just, if people clearly are like unsure about a food, I feel like direct them to the classics. I don't understand the tactic. I don't know what she was trying to accomplish, or like get rid of us or something. I don't know.
Right. Like, and you're right. Is she fucking with you, or is she just like, these are the people that I get to tell about my top secret thing to? And
yeah, maybe she does love it, but I feel like you kind of have to, like in anything, you need to like learn the
introduce
rules
somebody.
You break the rules.
Yes. Right.
We start with the basics.
Right.
And I might even like that dish now. It just wasn't like,
it's not where you start.
No. And ramen is so famously like hot. So to have like room temperature fish sauce, it was just like,
right. Any room temperature fish already, you're like, I'm taking my life in my hands.
Sushi is that, but again,
that's why I only eat my sushi cooked. Like, if they don't cook the sushi before I eat it, I bring my own sterno stove. And
are you like a chicken teriyaki at a sushi restaurant?
No, but I actually had a conversation with somebody last night about that, who was like, I no longer eat regular sushi. I've had it.
Really?
Yeah. He was like, you just never know the quality. You're taking your life in your hands every time you go in there. And he has kids, and he's like, my kids love sushi. They go in, they eat everything. And I'm like, I will have the teriyaki. I will have the cooked this.
I'll have the chicken tenders.
Yeah. Like, he's just done with it, And I was like, I get it. I'm not there yet, but I understand.
But that waiter could have single-handedly turned us both off of ramen forever. Like, for some reason,
could have been the plan.
Oh, like
there goes Jeff behind you.
Get this riffraff out of here. I happened to like agree to go again with someone else, and I was like nervous. I was like shaking going in, and then I ordered whatever they ordered, and I was like, this is great.
Well, that was not that I know how to eat, but like growing up, it's so funny that because this is exactly what I was talking about with this guy last night, was like, he was saying my kids will eat any sushi. And I'm like, it's hilarious to me to think of children eating sushi, because that is so far outside my personal experience, because our palate growing up was very limited by what my parents were willing to eat. And they are still like this. They will eat Italian or Mexican or burgers and steak and potatoes. That's it. You know, I had a girlfriend once who we were going to go out to dinner with my parents. It was the first time she was going to meet my parents. She was like, let's go to this restaurant. It's like one of my favorite restaurants. And it was an Indian restaurant. And I was like, okay. And we went. And of course, my parents were just like,
like not even hiding it.
And they were polite. No, they were polite about it. But it was like, definitely, we're never doing that again. And good luck with that, broad.
Indian food is so good.
I love it.
Yeah.
But when I got out, because, it's not even like, so growing up, I ate all this, I think not even Mexican when I was a kid. I think it was just Italian and
like meat,
burgers and steak. Yeah. But when I got out, and then I went to college, and college is not a place to expand your culinary horizons because you're eating in the goddamn.
And you have no money. And
yeah. And then I got out of college, and that's what I would always do is I would go to restaurants with people and be like,
what are you getting?
This is your favorite restaurant. So you order for both of us, and I will try to figure out if I like the same things that you like. And that was how I sort of expanded my culinary palate, because otherwise, and I still feel completely out of my depth in any kind of unusual restaurant where I'm like, I don't know what do you suppose, how do I, but I'm also not the guy who's going to be like, hey, waiter, can you
walk me through this?
Yeah.
But sometimes you need to, like, we also went to, I'm sure it has a name and I'm
McDonald's.
Being offensive, but there's like a famous Korean noodle soup. Like, and there's a famous restaurant in Koreatown that's what they specialize in. And we went to it, and at first we were like, cause it's one of those like famous, like, go to it. This is where you get the best version of this dish. And it's really just sort of like not even very salted broth with noodles. And so I was like, but like, there's like a plethora of condiments and shit that you're supposed to put in it. But Jeff and I went, again, like, we needed a guru, because I was like just looking at other people and being like, listen, like, I don't know the perfect mixture to make this taste good.
But I even think that's different, where you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I want to try this. Can you recommend? And that's kind of going back to your first thing where you're like, I don't understand this food. Can you tell me what to get? And instead of going, this is a great place to start, they were like, let's go up to the Double Black Diamond and see if we can get to the bottom of the hill.
Totally.
And I think that's okay if you go, because that's a place where this is a person who works in the restaurant. They know what the most popular things are.
Bored by the most popular things at this point.
Right. But I'm saying, like, if you're going in there for the first time,
right,
you want that person to be like, this is what everybody gets. This is why people come here for this thing.
That's what I'm asking. Yeah. I'm not, it'd be one thing if I was like, hey, like, we're lunatics. we're like foodies to the max. Like, what can we get that will blow our minds? Like, that is not what we asked.
And that's where we were at brunch today.
Really?
That was the purpose of the brunch conversation.
Did they enjoy their meals?
It was okay.
No.
There was a whole discussion, like I said, of like pancakes and how pancakes are made and is it the right, and the waiter was like, some days they're amazing and other days they're just not that great, because there's something about the way you mix them and the way, and then they were like, well, I like when they're crispier, and I was just like, Jesus, fucking order the pancakes or don't order the pancakes. And then at the end of the meal, the waiter was like, how was it? And the person who asked all the questions was like,
oh God.
It was okay.
Oh my God.
Exactly. Oh my God, that's right. So anyway, that was my afternoon today. So if I keel over in the middle of the podcast, it's because
yogurt poisoning.
I swallowed a fly. Yeah. Or at least some wings. Because The fly was not wearing concrete shoes when I pulled it out of the thing, but by then it had floated up a little bit.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is maybe I swallowed the concrete shoes.
Oh, but they'd be little. I don't think they would mess with you that much.
It's very reminiscent of that old song. I know an old lady who swallowed some concrete shoes. Right. I don't know why she swallowed the concrete shoes. Perhaps she'll perish. Yeah. All right. Well, we always start the show with a thing we like to call check-in.
Started yet? Oh no.
I think we did sort of unofficially, but Amber, what's going on with you?
Well, today it's Sunday, like just to let everyone in on that. So it was a classic day for you to go to brunch, Sean. But I had to work, that is not a classic day for me to work.
This is the Lord's Day. This is supposed to be a day of rest. This is the day that the Lord, he spent 6 days creating the oceans, the heavens, the beasts that crawl on the land, the fishes that swim, and then on the seventh day he rested.
He needs a better union because I feel like he should have more than 1 day of rest.
2 days at least.
At least.
But what you don't realize is that if you keep reading, he takes 3 months of vacation in the summer.
He's very European. But there was an influencer event in Hollywood. Every word I'm going to say is going to make things worse. An influencer event in Hollywood for Gabby's Dollhouse, which is one of our priority shows. It's a preschool show. And so I was there like taking pictures and interviewing people about why
influencers.
Yeah. But it was, I was there at 9:45. There's like a DJ playing like club hits and there's like waiters walking around with champagne. And I was like, this is for a preschool show. Like it's so confusing. It's so confusing.
Some of those 3-year-olds got fucking rocked.
Well, and it was a really good event. The kids were all really happy, but I was like, I think I said something about the alcohol and it was like, we want the moms to hang out, but these like influencer kids.
But what does that mean? Influencer kid? Like how old are these influencer kids?
I don't like 5, 6.
So they're not doing it themselves. Their parents are doing it.
This is what I'm saying. Like, there's something very, very creepy. And I think it might also just be like telling of my age in the sense that like I experienced a childhood and even some adulthood without like that culture existing. And so I would like watch these kids a couple times. Sean, I literally was like, oh, and everyone was like, isn't that great? I was like, I don't know if it is, because the kid would be so shy, like wouldn't make eye contact with me, wouldn't talk to me. And then the parent would like be like, okay, like 1, 2, 3. And then I would start filming and they were like, hey, like, can't wait to tune into Gabby's Dollhouse tomorrow. And I was like, oh my God, what is
That's
happening?
Horrifying.
I know.
It's like Hollywood stage mom syndrome, but to the nth degree.
And also, like, the stakes are so low. Like, I can see how many followers these people have.
Right.
Not enough.
That's the other part of it, is that you don't have to be cast in a movie. You're in a movie all the time if you want to be.
Right.
Just nobody's watching it.
And, like, I had to spend a lot of this afternoon, like sharing these influencers' posts onto our page. And so I had to I would find their handle and go through it. And I'm like, oh, they were at an event with their kid yesterday. They were at an event with their kid last night. They were at an event.
Christ.
And it's just like, it doesn't feel okay. I don't know.
And that's not because a kid is going, I think it would be really cool for me to be an influencer and make money from my influence. It's because the parent is going, how can I exploit this little piece of shit and get free champagne out of it? Right.
And then like families would show up. This also, maybe just because I am such a, like, naturally a mess. So anyway, this family showed up. It was a mom, a dad, a little girl, and then like a toddler boy.
Yeah.
And they were all wearing like matching outfits. Like they weren't exactly the same outfit because that would be tacky, but they were all in the same color palette. Which was like off-white. And that was like, I don't know. There was something so scary about it. Because it looks good in any photo because it doesn't clash with anything because it's a neutral. I don't know.
That's why I wear this stuff.
Anyway, I'm saying it was a good event and it seemed like kids liked it because we had like coloring stations and face painting and flower crowns. Like there was like actual things for the kids to do. It felt less just for the gram, like
by the way, I just want to point out that my glasses are fogging up because it's
so hot
in here. Yeah.
Well, this is a pretty hot story.
But like that's a thing I remember so well from when I was living in the Northeast and in the wintertime going to like, particularly I just remember it in college, going to keg parties, like walking from one place to another, then opening the door to a room of like 50 hot, sweaty bodies and being like, and not being able to see anything. So anyway, that's terrifying to me because that means there is an entire generation of people out there that think this is what life is all about. It's about influence. It's about Instagram. It's about filming everything. It's about putting everything up.
Yeah. I think the pendulum is swinging though. I think the next generation is going to be like, fuck this.
I hope so.
But we were giving out, it's called Gabby's Dollhouse. That's the name of the show. And we were giving out dollhouses.
What's it about?
A dollhouse. And we were giving out the actual dollhouses, which were like
it's about a pirate ship.
But they were all stacked kind of, you could see them right when you enter, but then people were giving them out as people left because it's also a cumbersome thing to carry around during the event. And
see, here would be my concern. If I go in and they're giving out Gabby's Dollhouses and I don't take one on my way in, I'm like, they're going to be gone by the time I get back. I know they're going to be gone. So I got to take one. I got to carry it with me.
They're going to put yogurt in it.
Otherwise, somebody's going to murder a fly and stuff it in the attic.
But there was another little girl that I was like trying to talk to, and she was like, "I want a dollhouse." I was like, "You're gonna get one, just not now." And then when I left a little bit early. It was very hot outside because it's all outside.
Right.
Thank goodness, because we got multiple pandemics going on.
Yeah,
and we're still doing events like everything.
And it was here in Hollywood.
Yeah, it was at the Lombardi House. So it's just at the corner of like Hollywood and Bronson.
Okay.
And what made me laugh is my direct boss couldn't come. He was out of town and he was like, get there early. Like parking's really scary. There's lots of homeless people. Like it's like really freaky deaky. And I was like, I used to live there. Like I'm good. I also currently live on the borderline of Silver Lake and Echo Park. Like
listen, Amber, I am so sorry I can't be there because I am out of town, so I won't be able to make it, but I'm so glad you will be there.
But I don't know. I think different people have different thresholds of what scare them, and 9:30 in the morning walking down Bronson is not scary to me. I don't know about you.
Well, it's not, but I do know that area, and I do know that there's a lot going on there.
Yeah. I think he had been to that exact venue for a wedding, and I'm sure like if you leave at midnight, it's kind of a different scene. But anyway.
It's also what you're used to. Like there are people who would be like, "Oh my God, the world is falling apart."
Right, and it's like, yeah, the world's falling apart. You just don't see it normally. Right. I always laugh because they built condos across the street from us, and they're condos. Like I personally think the building is pretty ugly, and there's signs on them because they're for sale, and the cheapest one is $1.6 million. And I pass that every morning at 4:45. I pass the $1.6 million condo, and I turn the corner, and it's like an encampment of unhoused people, and it's just like, it's the inequality is
rampant.
In your face, your face. There's no hiding it. But I think some people have been able to manage to avoid seeing it. So maybe, and it is jarring, I guess, if you're not used to it.
I bid on 2 of those places so far. Apparently you have to bid over the asking.
Jeff and I always joke when we see somebody who's looking at it, like at an open house, that we're just going to walk up to them and be like, can I have $1 million? Like, apparently you have $1 million.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It is. It's a lot of money.
To live in my neighborhood that's like filled with skunks and chicken wings. Like, it's not like we're not in.
Well, number one. No, you're right. You're right. there's no debating that.
I like my neighborhood, but I'm not going to pay $1.6 million for a condo. Like, you don't even have a yard.
Right. Come on, dude. That's funny that you say that about your boss. So I went to a party last night, and not to brag, but I do have a social life. Once every 2.5 years, I go to a party.
Are you so hungover? Can you not even see?
Yes. Fucking No, I mean, all kidding aside, I was like exhausted by the time I got home last night.
Like socializing.
Yeah, I was there for 3 hours, and I was like, I can't. It was so overwhelming. Luckily, it was mostly people I knew, whatever. But the person whose party this is like way out in the middle of, I don't know where, not Rancho Cucamonga, but like La Cañada, Flint Ridge.
These are very different places. Diamond Bar. Glen
Maria, San Diego. It was like really far
Santa
away.
Barbara.
It was like it was a suburb of Sacramento. Yeah. There were redwood. There were like, I feel like I passed redwood trees on the way there.
My favorite is when people list 2 non-like things and say, something like that, where you're like, right. I don't see the pattern. I don't know what the third thing
was like, whatever. It was like Thousand Oaks, Echo Park, something like that.
I guess the thing would be 2-word places there.
Right. It was far, is the point. Okay. And the person whose place it was in the invitation to the party, and this was one of those parties where, well, I'll get to more about that in a second, but this is one of those parties where there was a specific like paperless post invitation that you had to respond to, and how many people are coming, and are you bringing guests? Do you want to leave comments on the wall? All that kind of stuff. No one
ever wants to leave comments.
A lot of people did. I did not, but a lot of people did.
I'm sorry, that's crazy.
Well, you forget that the chances are that the person who's inviting me to this party is a comedian, and most of the people that they're inviting are comedians, so they always have a lot to say about funny things. You know what I mean? Like, everybody wants to be like
even more so because all the other comedians are going to see your comment and fucking make fun of it, dude.
You have a different philosophy than some other comedians. I think you're right, and I did not comment, but yeah. But anyway, in the thing, it said, and I had been to this place once before, and it was like, the parking is really tricky, so you might want to Uber.
That whenever I hear that, I'm like, I'm not going.
There was definitely a moment where I was like, I don't know if I really want to truck all the way over there, but I was like, I got to.
Yeah.
But it was like, parking is tricky.
Was
so
there
you
like a
Uber.
theme? Was there like an entire?
No, no, it was just like, we haven't seen everybody in a while. Let's get together. But what I did was, I was like, I'm not going to fucking Uber for 45 minutes. Like, I'm not.
Well, and it will be $100.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm not native money. Yeah. Like, I'm not, but I'll park. It's like a. I don't know what to call it. Like, there's like a stone. It's not maybe it's a development. Maybe you call it a development. There's like a stone gate that says, "Welcome to Crazy Town," and then you go up into the place.
Butterfly sugar, baby.
But you know what I mean? Like, there's a title of the area.
Yeah,
it's like a neighborhood.
A gated community.
Not gated, but like in a particular area that has a name, like a neighborhood, Okay. So I was like, I'll park outside that and then walk up. Yeah. Okay. So I parked right outside Crazy Town on the main road.
You know what I'm I'm talking about with that song, right? I'll play it later.
I remember the part that you did. I don't remember that it's connected to Crazy Town. Isn't that like Sugar Ray?
I think the band is crazy. Okay,
the band is called Crazy Town.
I believe so. I think
Butterfly Sugar Baby. All right, we'll look it up.
I'm looking it up
in parting shots. Yeah. But anyway, so I parked, and it was like not a half a mile, but almost a half a mile to the place uphill. So I'm walking to the place.
I was right.
What is it?
It's Crazy Town. The song is called Butterfly.
Okay. I guess I don't know my 90s pop as well as I thought I did.
That might even be early 2000s.
But anyway, I walked up to this place, and it was all the way uphill, and it got steeper and steeper and steeper as we got closer and closer. So I get like 3/4. I walked for like 7 or 8 minutes, and a car drives by, and the car turns around and comes back, and it's somebody I know, and they're like, "Do you want to ride up to the top?" And I'm like, "Great." So we drive for another minute at the most, probably less, probably like 45 seconds. And then it's like, okay, let's park right here. So we parked right by the thing, which everybody did except for me. I was the only one who was like, I'm going to anticipate how difficult the parking is going to be.
The parking wasn't as tricky as they had stated.
And then at the end of the night, I was leaving, and I went up to the host and I said, I gotta go, and I parked, whatever. I parked out on this, and I parked on the main road, so I'm gonna walk down. And he was like, "No, you parked all the way down there? No!" And I was like, "You're the one who said in the invitation that it was too difficult to park up here." Fucking nightmare. But anyway, it was fun. It was great to see people. It was weird. It was stressful. It was very difficult to stay for as long as I did. It was great though. It was just nice to see people. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe someday things will be normal again. Probably not, but who knows? I guess we'll see. All right. Well, this feels like a weird place to take a break.
Let's do it. Wait. I'm sharing my screen. Wait, come on. Where did you go?
This is all being recorded, right? Mm-hmm. We're getting this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Somebody was asking me how much of the show we edit out the other day, and I was like, 0. And I'm like, that's crazy. That seems crazy. Yeah.
Okay. Why are you like this?
What are you doing? What's happening?
I don't know. Never mind. I'll do it later. I was going to play the Crazy Town song.
Oh, I don't know. Is it on YouTube that you're looking at it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. See, I don't know if I think there's all kinds of shit you have to do to Zoom to make it show up on both screens at the same time. I've been through this a million times recently with stuff. Because I can barely hear it in the background. Oh, here it is. For almost zero cost is taking over the market. This is a great ad. Just destroyed the $1 billion AC industry by building.
Okay, can you hear it though?
Yes, okay. A little bit. No, I really can't hear it very well at all. Oh. I think what I can hear is through your microphone. Does it have a year of release on there?
Oh God, stop it.
This is always the problem with these things.
I'll find out. I'll come back from the break with that information.
We'll be back with more on Butterfly Sugar Baby in just a moment. We're back. You're listening to The Long Shot. It is a podcast My name is Sean Conroy. Amber Kenny is here with me. So it's time for a segment on the show that we like to call Parting Shots. We call it that because it is the end of the show. It's like what we do before we leave. So it's like, goodbye. We'll see you later. We're parting. And
it's like a tradition at this point. Because I would argue that the inherent content of Parting Shots isn't so different from the checking in. Like they could be interchangeable. It's arbitrary what we pick to talk about.
If you flipped it around, people would not be like, "What the fuck? That didn't make any sense." It seemed like they were leaving, but then they did a whole other segment. That's fair. That's fair. But so I wanted to talk about this because I did an open mic this week.
Oh, cool! Where? Or do you not want to talk about it? Do you want to yelp about it?
I don't like to be specific because I'm always afraid that people are going to be insulted or they're going to feel left out or I didn't talk about them or I talked too much about them or whatever. But it was over in the Valley somewhere.
Okay.
It was like, I don't know. It was Encino or Thousand Oaks or...
Nebraska,
Little Rock. I can't remember. Yeah. But there was only about 7 comics there.
Whoa. Like when I stopped doing open mics, it would be like 50, 60.
Right.
People.
Well, they were talking about the improv open mic and saying that the line at this point is like 125 people. Like they pick 30 people and there's 125 people who show up. And
that's crazy.
But this was a tiny group of people. But it was just weird because I don't know. I haven't quite thought it all the way through. But there were a couple of comics there who I've known for a very long time, who I like as people, who are very, very nice people, but not particularly. They're just not great comics, but they try, like they're never going to be great comics, but they try. They have jokes and that's fine. They're just not great at it. And that's okay.
I'm right here.
See what I mean? And whatever. But here we all are in the same place. And so part of me is like, questioning what I'm doing there. In other words, am I the same as these guys? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think so, but do they see me as the same as them? As like, oh, this guy tries, but he's not, It doesn't really worry me. The thing that concerns me is that I'm not doing more than that right now. Like, I just remember years ago, doing a show, I can't remember. It was very far away. It was like, I don't know, Santa Monica or Bakersfield. It was somewhere,
one of those.
Yeah. And I was on the show and Eddie was on the show and it was produced by people we knew. And we got there and Eddie lost his fucking mind. Now, he is a person who obviously, and I say this is funny because I was just saying how I don't want to upset anybody or whatever, but I am going to say things. I will talk shit about Eddie, but like he definitely has anger issues. There's no way to get around that. And he lost his fucking mind because he was like, I am better than this. I am better than this. Like there was no audience there. And he was furious that he had gone this far to do this show that there wasn't really an audience at, and was screaming. And I thought he was joking at first until I realized that he really was that angry.
Well, it kind of reminds me of what you talked about last week with the Janine Garofalo article, where like it feels like, sometimes the audiences are small. It doesn't mean
right. But that, at least with Janine in the article, it was not an open mic. It was a booked show. It just was that they weren't. Yeah. So you're right. In that sense, the show that Eddie was losing his mind at was a booked show with a real, supposedly legitimate audience. He was just mad that there weren't a lot of people there. this was just an open mic, which means anybody who shows up can get up and do their thing.
That's the point. Yeah.
Right. But that's the other part of it was, and I'm sure I was always aware of this, but I guess because I haven't done it in so long and I'm sitting there in the audience watching people go up on stage, you know, and these are people who do this type of thing regularly. And I'm not talking about the people I was just talking about. I'm talking about some of the other people that were there. But clearly they're people who knew everybody there and they'd seen each other at these events before and they're going around on the circuit together and whatever. And I was like, this is not about them. I don't know that they would even say it like this, but in my mind, I was like, this is not about them writing jokes and getting up and trying out jokes, because it's clear to me from watching them that they don't even have an understanding of what a joke is. Like they're not they don't know what a punchline is. Like they're just like, hey, you know, I saw this thing. Huh. What else? I don't like this thing. What else? You know, like, and so it's more about having a forum to present whatever's on their mind than it is about crafting something and making something.
Well, and also sounds like it might be more about seeing the people that they see every
Could be. I don't know. It didn't seem like any of them were particularly close to each other. They were just like sort of acknowledging, and I guess it's better to not be close to people when you're in the middle of a pandemic, but you know, but I just was like, it's this weird thing of like, is this, I don't know what else I could be doing in terms of trying to do, I guess I should focus more on that of like what else I could be doing in terms of trying to do stand-up. But I was also like, this is just not a thing where everybody's even focused on the same goals here.
Right.
Like this is just a person who's miserable in real life and has no opportunity to express that to anybody. And so sees this as a chance to get up and talk for 8 minutes straight about whatever is bugging them. And people can't tell them to shut up because that's not how an open mic works, which is just like a little sad, you know?
Are you just realizing that open mics are sad?
No. I'm not saying that at all. I've known that since day one.
Yeah. But
it just was a moment of self-reflection of like
what am
is this worth doing or not? I would
argue. I mean, I don't know.
Because I did sit down for half an hour before I went and wrote a bunch of new stuff that I really liked, and I did it, and some of it went okay, and some of it went great, and some of it didn't. But that's what I was trying to get out of it.
Well, that's what I was going to say is like, it doesn't matter what the other people are doing or what they're trying to do, as long as you're getting something out of it. And it sounds like you did.
Right. But I guess the other part of that is this is far too long into the career for me to still be doing this type of thing, which is what made me think of the Eddie thing of going like, I'm better than this, you know, and like,
but nobody wants.
I am better than that. And like, I should be doing better things. And I'm like trying to figure out like, what do I do?
Well, I would say like an open mic isn't ever the end goal. Like it's going to the gym. It's doing reps. And so
right. I only go to the gym because my end goal is bodybuilding competitions.
No, but what I'm saying is I don't think ruminating on I'm better than this is going to help you in any way.
I guess I should scrub that off the walls where I wrote it over and over.
You can decide that you don't find that it is helping you or serving the purpose that you wanted it to, and you don't go to it anymore. But I don't think you're better than this should be the reason. Does that makes sense. Like
it does. And I don't think that would be the reason, but I think the reason would be like, is it worth it to keep doing this? You know?
Right.
And that brooks a larger conversation. I think I'm using that word correctly. Sure. Of like, what am I doing? Because then it sort of becomes like a weird, I mean, I talked about this once before years ago, where whatever, I was doing an open mic, and it was because I was going to headline the Improv, and I was trying to get as many sets in as I could before I headlined the Improv. And so I'm sitting in the audience at this open mic, and this guy gets up and like just is terrible comic, terrible person, whatever, trying to do crowd work at an open mic, which is just the most bizarre strategy you could ever have.
Right.
And he looks at me sitting in the audience. This is like 5 years ago. And he's like, "You're never going to make it, sir. You can do all the open mics you want, and you're never going to make it. It's done. It's over." And like, I wanted to say, and of course he was gone by the time I got on stage. I wanted to say the only reason I'm here is because I'm headlining the Improv later this week. So,
right.
I'm not okay that I made it, but I'm all right. And you're probably, well, I mean, maybe. Look, it was Chris Rock, and he was headlining the Improv later that week.
Get your motherfucking
right.
My motherfucking wife out of your mother. Whatever.
We talked about that last night too. But it does become a thing of like, what's the moment where you go, this isn't really happening, you know? And I'm not there, but I definitely was thinking about that the other night, where I was like, if those people who I've known for a long time see me the same way I see them, and if the other people here are just here because they have nowhere else to make their voices heard, and they don't even understand they don't know what comedy is. Like, they're going to open mics, but to them, an open mic is not about comedy, or at least their idea of what comedy is not comedy. I don't know what I'm saying.
I hear you, but I haven't done an open mic in a long, long time. And they are always sort of sad and bleak. And there's always
absolutely.
a large percentage of the population that it's just like, to your point, don't know what comedy is and are not mentally well. But then, like, I guess what I'm trying to talk you into is that there would always be like these beacons of light of like, this like incredible talent that would get up that like crafts jokes like unbelievably and are so good at comedy, and they're just doing comedy because they love comedy, and they might be successful in comedy or in writing or whatever, but it's just like they were doing it because they needed the workout. That's why I was going back to the gym metaphor. And it didn't matter that everyone else at the open mic wasn't at their level.
Right.
They still got something out of it. And I'm sure if they didn't, they would stop going.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. You're right. And there is something to that. I just feel like there was a time in my life, in my career, when that is what I did, was do open mics over and over again. To get better. And I did, and I got booked on shows, and I did TV and whatever. And it's like, now I'm at this point. And I guess part of it is also to go, well, there was a fucking pandemic for 2.5 years. So if you weren't like touring regularly before the pandemic, it's not like you can step back into it and go, I'm back, baby, better than ever. I've been writing jokes, you know?
Right. Well, and I don't even really do comedy anymore, but a lot of my best friends do comedy, and they're saying,
I have friends too,
that they're in like this weird place where just like anything, time marches on, and there's a whole generation of young comics, like a generation under them now, that they're getting booked on all the local shows. So like my friends who are very funny and they crush every time they do comedy, they used to do sets every night of the week, and now it's like they might get one spot a week. And it's just like, oh, this is how it happened. Like, it's because the young ones have their own sense of humor and they're building.
You're saying everybody else has gotten better and I've gotten worse.
That is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that like time marches on and things keep changing. And
all right, well, we'll see what happens. Tune in next week to see if I still do comedy.
What I'm saying is be bamboo. Don't.
Now I feel like you're just making sounds.
Well, what I'm saying is things change and be adaptable. If doing open mics is of no value to you, I'm not wishing you to do it. But I don't think you should stop doing it because you're coming from a place of what it used to be like. Because things change. Like you said, the pandemic changes. There's new comics. There's older comics. Like, the world's always moving and grooving. And I really don't want you to ever come from the angry, I'm better than this place that Eddie talks about, because I don't think that's helpful.
Is there a calm, comfortable, self-assured, I'm better than this place?
Sure. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you have like a Zen, like I am not getting anything out of this. Not like my ego's not getting.
No, I was not resentful. It just was just a thought-provoking period of time. And I know that thing is going to happen again this week, and I probably will go again this week. Just because, like I said, I wrote a bunch of stuff and I was like, this is fucking good. Like, this is actually.
I want to try it out somewhere.
Yeah. And, but it is like, well, what's the goal? It's making me think about the whole thing, you know?
Well, it's so funny. So my parting shot, I went.
Oh yeah. I'll get to my parting shot in a minute.
Oh no, we're gonna be here all night. I'm so tired. I went to a wedding a week ago, and that was notable. It was notable because it was in the mountains. I got a hotel room. Jeff wasn't comfortable going because of COVID, and that's fair. But it was. I realized it was the first time I've stayed in a hotel by myself. I cannot even remember the last time. Well over a decade. So that was kind of like fun, like my own little excursion. And
sure, let me walk you up to the room, Miss Kenny. I'll carry a bag for you. Now let me show you the amenities. This here's a shower. Over here you have the television. This part right here is where you sleep. You can unpack your clothes, put them right in this dresser right here.
Like, please leave.
I will be on my way in just a moment.
And the wedding itself was beautiful. I cried, I danced. It was in the woods. It was a lot of fun. It was outside. But it's so funny what you talked about, because I wanted to talk about like my personal relationship to comedians and how it's evolved, because I think for a long time I was a stand-up comedian and I was not a great one. I mean, whatever. It is what it is.
You were better than this, but not great.
But like, so interacting with other comics always had this weird, unless it was a dear friend, it had this weird, like, am I auditioning? Like, am I trying to prove that I'm funny? Am I trying to prove that I'm good enough to hang out? Or am I like, so then that happened. And then I kind of stopped doing comedy and I thought that would make things better, but it like made it worse, where I was like, oh, like I don't do comedy. Like, am I still allowed to be here? And anyway, I don't know if it's the pandemic or meditation or journaling or all of the above. Like, I've gotten to this cool place where I'm like, yeah, I don't do comedy and I like hanging out with you. Like, it's like, there isn't that tension that was there before, and it may have never existed on the other side, or maybe it did, but, and just being really present. And I kept seeing people that I haven't seen in like 7 years because there's been a pandemic. I don't do comedy, you know, like, and, I sort of either expected them to like big time me in the back of my head. Like this wasn't like, like
in your head, you were like, I'm glad I ordered the chicken because that fish does not look
but
good.
I wasn't like, dear diary, today this person will big time me. But like in the back of my head, I was like, oh, they might just like ignore me or not even know who I am, or but everyone was like so warm and happy to see me, and it wasn't like this weird competitive thing. And I don't know, it felt like such a victory personally because of that. Like, just to feel comfortable in my skin in a place, like, it's so sad, but it's true. Do you know what I mean?
I do. It's funny because I saw obviously a bunch of comics last night, and comics are just built different, I think, and different comics are different from each other too. But I think there certainly are some that are super competitive, like, I'm going to be funnier than you no matter what. And that can be irritating. But then there's also people that just are doing bits all the time, and you're doing bits all the time. And I enjoy that, like I get a kick out of that. But last night when I was at this party, I sat, like, at one point, again, it was just because I was fucking exhausted by being around people the whole time. And I was like, I got to sit down for a minute. And I sat down, and the people I sat down next to were not comedians. They were the neighbors from across the street. And so I got into a conversation with them, which was a very like, I'm not, I'm always like not
a normal person conversation,
but I'm also not I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to be talking about right now? And so I was like, are you guys from here? Like, no, I'm from Iowa, and I'm from whoa, I've been to Iowa. It's very flat there, like that kind of shit. And so I sat there for like 5 minutes, and they were very nice, whatever. But I'm sure they were like, why does he keep talking about Iowa being flat? Like, enough with that, No, I mean, like, you look out and you're like, oh my God, it just goes on forever.
See everything. Yeah.
It's like, oh, I bet I could roll a quarter and it would just keep going. But at one point there was a break in the conversation, and somebody like over my right shoulder, one of the people I knew there, was like, that's because I was trying to fuck your mother the whole time, or something like that.
That's the combo I want to be.
I literally said, I go, yeah, that's how comics talk to each other. Sorry about that. And then I was like, I got to go to the restroom. I'll be back. And then I left, and I never talked to them again.
Well, and I will say, and this is a strange thing to say, but it is it's true. I wasn't at all coming from like a weird competitive performative place. Like, I was just being authentically myself, and I was getting a lot of laughs, and I was like, oh, like it sounds so obvious. Who I am. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like, like, just, I am a funny, charming person without like the flop sweat of it all.
Right. I mean, that is a problem, is when people are trying too hard. It's annoying. I have a lot to say about that, but I won't.
Okay, good.
Folks, this has been The Long Shot. It is a podcast. It happens every week. Please, down below there, hit the subscribe button, the like button, the hammer, and the bell. Smash the bell. Smash the bell. Who knows? But yeah, we will see you next time here on The Long Shot. It's a podcast.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm a brutal believer. You're a tongue-tied late teether. There's nobody neater. You're my own fire breather. I don't know your name, but I don't want to either. And how can you tell that I'm swimming? I don't know if you're reading a bit too much into the bleeding, but it's true, I would gush 2 times harder if that's what you asked me to do. If that's what you asked me to do.